Welcome to Shop Talk New Mexico. In this episode, we're pleased to feature Don Bremner, the creative force behind Things on the Wall. Known for his breathtaking murals, Don has made a significant impact on the art scene in the Albuquerque area. Join us as he shares his artistic journey, the inspiration behind his captivating works, and the transformative power of landscape murals in our communities. Let me introduce you to Don Bremner.
Thanks, Carson. It's great to be here.
Nice to see you. So let's ask you the kind of the obvious questions. What is it that first got you started in doing this type of artistic work?
We relocated here from Christchurch, New Zealand in 2012, and I'd been painting canvases for about 5 years, but nothing exterior murals like this. We came from a place in Christchurch which is at sea level. The soil is rich and everything grows, and you don't need to paint things on the fence. It's not something I'd ever thought about. And so I tried to plant a garden, but I found that the soil was very different at high altitude than it is at sea level. It was like compressed dust out in our backyard. So I decided one day to paint a couple of sunflowers on the wall. And it's Albuquerque, and a couple of months later it snowed. And I said to my darling wife when we were looking out at that, I said, "What do you think when you see that colour out there?" She said, "Just happy." I said, "Yes, that's the answer. We can make people feel happy and bring joy to them by seeing the colour and the character on the wall." And I didn't take long to research that there are hundreds of miles of empty cinder block and stucco walls in this city.
Right, right. So it looks like you've got an ideal market here for that. Um, have you ever combined your service with, say, conventional landscapers as sort of an add-on, sort of as a subcontractor to other landscapers to add this into what they're producing?
I have tried, but it didn't work. And I went to them and said, "Look, you're landscaping and I'm wallscaping. What I do is going to complement what you are doing here." And they were wrapped up in their business, and so I said, "That's fine." And I thought, there's another way to do this, is to get people's attention about what I do, which, as you said, is unique.
Right, right. I've uh, I've seen a lot of people who paint landscapes,
Yes.
but I've never seen anybody who paints landscapes on landscapes. So this is kind of a new and unique uh, kind of medium. And
Well, I have the opportunity to do that too, because some people want a landscape, and you've seen my website with some photos of that. On a
I
decent
have.
sized piece of wall, you can actually do a landscape on the wall of the New Mexico environment with the hills, and bring all that forward until you've got something rich in the foreground.
Right, and it looks very, very good adding that in. Um, can you walk us through your creative process?
Sure.
Um,
My objective when I'm at a home improvement show, or through my advertising, I make contact with people, is to be invited to their home. Um, and so one of the things that two simple words, what I do, got a lot of attention. I took an ad in the New Mexico marketplace and it just said wall murals. And people thought, wow, I've always wanted something like that, but I didn't know who could, who would, how much, any of the details. So come to my home. So when I go to the home, I'm focused on two things. And I tell people this. One, I want to hear what you would like on the wall. What's going to bring you joy every day, regardless of the weather? And I want to do something out there that complements the surrounding environment, that looks like it should just be sitting on that wall. And there may be a difference sometimes in what you want and what I think is going to be good out there, but I start off with good relationships, talking straight to people. It's in their best interest. It's your mural in your home for you to enjoy. So we come to good arrangements on that. And now I've been working for 10 years, so they have a lot of my work to look at. Well, I said, okay, well, I like that. And I can adapt that to your environment, to your landscape.
Very good, very good. Um, Do you ever encounter challenges with durability of uh, of your murals holding up in the weather that we have here in New Mexico?
Only in every conversation I've ever had about this business.
Okay.
It's the first thing. When people start to realize what could be done, the question is, well, how long will it last? It's a very good question. So a lot of the walls that I paint on are just bare cinder block. And so I put 2 coats of base, good quality base paint on those before I paint the mural. And so by the time I've finished it, it's got 4 or 5 levels of color with good quality paint. I have west-facing walls I painted 9 or 10 years ago, and my clients say it's as vibrant as the day you painted it. Nobody's ever said, "Can you come out and touch it up? It's faded." Doesn't happen.
Right, right. And I can see where you probably wouldn't get as much uh, wear as you would in places that get a lot of rain, get a lot of snow. Because
Maybe weather. Yeah,
here in Albuquerque, the weather is pretty it's pretty easy to
it's the
it,
sun.
it's the
Sometimes
sun. The
yes.
sun does the sun can cause fading, but at least you're not getting as much with the rain.
No,
Now wind, that would be another issue because you get sand blown in the wind, and so it's constantly
and that's
sand blasting your murals.
and that's why I don't paint on those days.
Okay.
I get sandblasted too, so that's not a
Yeah,
good thing.
exactly.
So the weather is significant for me. I won't paint on walls um, anything below the sort of mid 40s, high
Sure.
40s,
Okay.
because I'm not getting good quality integrity with the paint attached to the wall. On the cold wall, it doesn't. Similarly, if the wall is too hot, it doesn't bond well.
Doesn't bond well.
Right.
So you have a certain heat range
Yes.
that you can work within.
Yes.
Okay.
And so in the last summer, I had some big projects to do, and I would say to people, look, I'm not sure what time you get up, but I'm going to sneak up the side of your house about 6 o'clock in the morning. And I said, your dog, if you have one, will announce my arrival. So sorry about that.
Sure.
But I need to paint then. That's the best time of the day when the wall is cool and I'm cool. I'll probably finish about 11 o'clock because the wall starts to get too hot, and so do I. So that happens. We don't get the quality that I want to provide for you.
Sure, I understand that. Okay.
The good thing about that, Carson, is that people are very flexible. You straight up and say, look, I'm not going to come out today because it's too windy or it's too hot or whatever.
Right.
It's much easier to say, I'll be there at 6 o'clock, and whenever you get up, I'll have Black Horse One and we'll sit down and talk about it.
Sure. Sure.
That's easy.
I did want to ask you also, have you ever approached realtors in the real estate market as far as how you could provide your service um, for purposes of improving the uh, the property values of homes?
Yes, I have, and that was like the landscaping companies. That wasn't successful either
Huh.
because a person is interested in selling their house, or they're interested in buying a house. They don't know what they're going to get when they get there. I have good friendships with a wide variety of realtors, but their focus is different than mine.
Right.
So I give them some of my cards, which are very colourful examples of my work,
Sure.
and that works. And so another benefit that I have is the referral business. And so I've got something like 60% of my clients have 3 or more murals in their backyard, and they've got friends who come around and say, "Who did that?"
Right. I can
Well, it's
imagine.
this guy. He talks a bit funny, but he's good work.
Yeah,
So
I
we have
bet
some
the
fun.
word of mouth really is a good
Yes,
is that's probably your best advertising because for one, it's free,
yeah,
and for another, people trust people that they know,
yes.
and so
You've never bought something from somebody that you didn't trust.
right.
You just don't do it.
No, you don't.
And
You
so
don't.
people come around and say, "Wow." And when I showed them my portfolio, I said, "These murals were done for the specific request and needs or wishes of a person, and yours will be different. I don't do the same all the time.
Sure.
That's a reminder I give myself. When I'm painting in somebody's yard, I'm painting of sunflowers, and it might be something that I could do in 4 hours. And I just say, hold on, dude, you might have painted 872 sunflowers while you've been doing this, but that's the first ones you've painted for this lady. Just take your time and do it quality so she will enjoy it.
Sure.
Just a big reminder of, you know,
so
guys like me need that.
So everything is to order. It's customized to the needs of the client.
Yes.
And which would lead me to my next question is, how do you balance your artistic license or your artistic flair with the desires of your client for what the is there ever a time that they're not clear on what it is they really want, and therefore may not be entirely satisfied at the time that it first goes in, and then you have to go and redo something to make it fit more of what their vision is?
Okay. How I work that is that when I'm invited to somebody's home, I listen to them, I walk away with a good concept of what they want, and at that point I write a proposal. So here's what I can do here, here, and here in detail, and this is the price for that. So then I submit that to them on the basis that there's no obligation, there's no time frame or commitment. I want to know that that's the most important thing that you would like to see. And then they work on that basis, and they'll sign that, give me a deposit, and away we go. But it's also important for me that to have communication along the way. And often they will come out and sit out and we'll talk about it. Or if they don't, I'll say, hey, come out here. Just have a look at this. Is this where we're going? Because I've got this 3-inch paintbrush and I can prune that bush very quickly for you if it's too much or whatever.
Right, sure.
But if I'm painting a vine and they want a particular color of flowers on it, I want to know that, is that right? Would you like a few more flowers? Would you like this, that? Engage with people along the way so that they're getting a good result. Right.
Very good. Very good. So approximately how long does it take to complete a mural that's, say, 6 feet high by 15 feet wide?
I would probably take 2, maybe 3 days to do that.
Okay.
And again, depending on the weather, I might come around for 3 hours today, and sometimes I communicate with my clients so that I might have 2 or 3 on the go at the same time. And that's because one wall is facing this way, and that's going to be good in the morning, but I can get home and go to this other house, which happens to be only 5 miles away, and do a bit of theirs late afternoon and just work it in together.
Sure.
And again, for their client's best interest, when I can do my work at best.
Right. Right. Very good. Let's see. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's interested in getting into this line of work?
I'm not looking for competition. No, that's right.
I mean, from some other state.
There you go. No, whatever. You need to, number one, it's like any business. You need to establish, is there a need in the market? And there is a need in the market here. So then how do I access that market? And then how do I build my reputation, my portfolio, so people will, again, as you said, refer it on and build on it from there. And so that's what I did. I started very slowly, and I was going to advertise in the magazine that's delivered to homes, New Mexico Marketplace.
Right.
And I thought, I need to take, this is 10 years ago, I need to take a color ad because that's what I do. And a very good friend of mine who has the ability to say anything he wants to say to me said, you can't afford it. I said, okay. So I decided to take a classified ad in the back for a very small portion of that. And the headline was wall murals. I started to get business from that. because that's what people were thinking about. I need a wall mural, but nobody's ever said that or advertised it before. So it's a matter of establishing that there is a market and working out how to not go after that market, but how to approach it.
Right.
And for me, many of my clients are women and married, many of them, and some are widows too. But for a woman, it's more of an emotional lift. The guys are thinking about, hey, this is cool. No water, no weeds, no work. I'm done. But for the woman, you get more of an emotional lift from seeing the colour out there, regardless of how they're feeling, how busy life is, whatever else is going on.
So it's beneficial for both.
It is indeed.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I know I would much rather just have you go out and paint the flowers on the wall than to have to go out and dig the holes and put in the fertilizer, put in the plants, put in the mulch.
They're very good points, because there is a cost to high altitude gardening.
Yes,
and as you said, you've got to add value to the soil every year. You've got to water it constantly.
Yeah.
You've got to change things over, stop this bug from getting there, prune this, prune that, remove the dried arrangements in October and November because they don't look good.
Sure.
And that changes all this thing.
Right.
And so, yes, there is a cost to what I do, but I encourage people to see it more as an investment, because you get a good return on that every day when you get up.
Right.
I mean, you're sitting here in my home today, and it's 40 out there, feels like 25, but the colour on the wall out there makes everything different.
Sure does. Yes, it does.
So it's an investment with a good ROI, not just a cost. And you've removed all the other things. And as we're all getting a bit older, and so our ability, the old body doesn't always react to the things that you have to do in the garden.
Right.
So when you don't have to do it, plus.
Right. Right. Okay, tell me about Cinnamon.
Cinnamon was a great dog, and I had a long mural to paint, and she would sit there and feel comfortable lying on the rocks. That's what dogs do. For 2 weeks while I painted this. She was always there, right beside me, no problem. She didn't run around knocking over pots of paint or anything like that, and we got on well. Many of my clients have dogs, and so one of the important things I do when I go to invited to somebody's house, often the lady opens the door and her dog is there. The first thing I do is on my knees, because a woman likes to see a man on his knees anyway. But I'm really talking to the dog, scratching his ears. We established the rapport. Right. Cinnamon was there the whole time, and the day after I finished it, my client Freddie, she gave me a call. She said, "I think she's okay." I said, "What happened?" She said, "Oh, Cinnamon snubbed her nose a little bit, bumped her nose trying to walk through that door you painted." I said, "Yes, give that girl a treat. Yes. She thought she could walk through there. That's a good response."
Yeah.
So because they're wonderful clients, they about 18 months later, they had to put Cinnamon down because of cancer.
Right.
And so I went and painted Cinnamon sitting in the doorway.
Very nice.
As a great memory.
Yes,
nice
very
touch.
nice. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. Sounds wonderful. Yeah, it's very much an artistic expression that allows you a lot of latitude.
Yes.
In what you can do and how you can work the lives of your client into the work that you're doing.
Right.
You were telling me about the woman who lost her husband.
Right.
And how she called him Bear, and how you painted Bear.
Unbeknown to her.
Yeah, unbeknown. Yeah.
She came home one day. She
said,
"How you doing?" I said, "I'm doing fine, but I'm just going inside to get some tissues." "What for?" I said, "You'll know by the time I come out." And she came out, she was tears flowing down her face because I'd painted this portal with a doorway, but round, looking through the foliage, was the face of a bear.
Yes.
I said, "Bear's here, he's got his eye on you."
Right. And that's what she called her husband, was Bear.
Yeah. So those sort of things are...
well, that's wonderful.
It's just great. Just listen and pick up little things. Don't say anything about it.
Yeah.
So I'm always interested in and add a little touch here and there or whatever it is. It might be a hummingbird that wasn't in my contract, or a road runner sitting on a rock, or whatever.
Yeah.
Just
little touches.
Right. But when you talked before about artistic license, I'm a trust guy. I don't believe that you can make any progress unless you have a trusted relationship with people.
Certainly.
So I do that at the early days, talk straight with people and listen to them. And if you need to, I will, if I have to say something about that's not going to work there, oh, okay, well, what do you suggest? Away we go.
Right.
So people are open to your ideas when they know you've got a track record, they know you do quality, and that makes the relationship so much better.
Right.
And I've developed great friendships with some of my clients, and come on back and we'll do this and we'll do that.
Yeah, yeah.
It makes it fun.
Let's go back a little ways. And how were you trained in art? Or were you trained in art, or is this just something that you picked up on your own?
No, I was never trained in art at all. And I was back in New Zealand a couple of years ago, and I went to my old high school and had a discussion with the principal, who had changed since I'd been there. I said, in my final exam, I said, my result for art was 25%. So I said, as your predecessor said, I'm a late developer. And so it happened 2008. I'd had a major medical event and a traumatic brain injury. And we were living in Phoenix. Went back to New Zealand. About 2 weeks later, I said to a very, very good friend of mine, who was one of the finest artists in New Zealand, I want to paint. He said, well, okay, come along to my studio. And so I thought, it's surrounded by all your fabulous paintings and so on. But he didn't give me lessons, but he taught me things as I got to know him and better. And it's like on a mural, if I'm doing a landscape, he said, you start with the canvas or the wall and you underpaint it. Just paint it almost watercolor and outline the landscape you're going to do, and then you add value to it. And you create distance by making those hills grey.
Sure.
We know they're not grey,
Yeah.
they're covered in pine trees.
Right.
But that shows distance. And then as you bring things forward in your painting, add the vibrant colour in the front of it in the foreground, and that'll show you distance. And so I learned a lot of things like that.
Right. Right. Wow. Did you ever watch The Joy of Painting?
Yes.
Bob Ross?
Oh, yeah. Couldn't do the hair. I can't do
Couldn't do the hair. Right.
I can't paint happy little trees and things like that. But he's brilliant, isn't he?
Right.
He is brilliant.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
But it's interesting because now that I've been doing it for so long, everywhere I go, you go to a gallery or shopping or something, you're thinking, yeah, I could paint that. Maybe I can take that and adjust it to this. You can learn things all along the way.
Sure.
And just make it fun.
Right.
Because if it's not fun, don't do it.
Right.
You're not going to get a good result.
Exactly.
And wear it on your face and people are happy. That's the objective.
Very good. Very good. Well, it sounds like a joyful business to
Yes.
be in.
Yes.
And of course, we all know that what they say, that if you enjoy your job, you never work a day in your life.
No, it's not a job.
And so, yeah.
A benefit for me, going back a few years, I had the busiest season during COVID because people wouldn't invite contractors, other people to their home.
Sure.
But I established rapport very quickly and we're doing something. Then all of a sudden you're sitting in somebody's living room and having a good conversation and a cup of coffee
Right.
and a donut and whatever.
Yeah.
And so, and a lot of people were lonely. They didn't want to go out.
Right.
But once you build that rapport and the trust,
Yeah.
that makes a big difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Olivia wanted to know, where does the term Kiwi come from in relation to the people of New Zealand?
That's a very good question, Olivia. The Kiwi is the national bird of New Zealand. It's a nocturnal, flightless, small creature about this big, and has nostrils in the end of its beak. And so New Zealanders are called Kiwis as an endearing term after the national bird. There's another thing here which is not a Kiwi. And so in the late 1850s, a New Zealand woman was in China on a mission and came back to New Zealand, and she brought the seeds of her favorite fruit. and she planted them, and they grew everywhere around country, because it does in New Zealand. And so, and they called it the Chinese gooseberry. And in 1950 something, we had a first export of these to America. And a very smart marketing dude said, Chinese gooseberry? That name sucks. I can't sell that. You need to change the name. And so they changed it to kiwi fruit because of the similarity in size of the brown shape of the kiwi fruit. So we call it a kiwi fruit, not a kiwi. So you can't eat a kiwi because we're old and tough. And the bird itself is highly protected. But a kiwi fruit, that's fine. You can have it.
Right.
The inside of a kiwi bird
is it green? And why would it be green? Because the inside of the kiwi fruit is green?
No, well, I've never opened up one because they're highly protected, Olivia, so don't you be messing with them.
All right. So you've been doing this for about 10 years.
Yes.
Okay. Full-time?
Yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
See, with some seasonality attached to that.
Oh, sure, of course. Of course. Yeah. Yep, they sure did. Okay.
Again, when you enjoy it, it's okay. I'm going out to see a client in Rio Rancho this afternoon.
Yeah.
Who called me the other day, said, I've seen your work on your website, looks great. He said, my neighbor is leaving. He said, we had a good relationship. We'd exchanged beer and barbecue over the wall, but he's gone, and I took the opportunity to add another 2 bricks to the wall. Come on out. What do you think's going to work on that?
You're having to extend work that you've already done, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
That's fine. Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, seems to work out nice. You do beautiful work.
Thank you.
I really like it. I think that if the word were out there more, I think that you would have, especially when you consider that women always want beautiful flowers, beautiful plants in their yard, and guys don't want to put them out there.
Right.
So,
no. And as I said, I say to people who come to the home improvement show, you see a couple coming in, and she's beaming because she's thinking they're coming there for windows or some other feature. There's painting companies here, contract painters, but they do not expect to see what I do. And so they come on over. He is not looking so happy. He's thinking, as long as she's happy, that's fine, but, whatever. And
sure.
I've put her on one side and just asked him, do you love this woman that much that you will buy her flowers she will never have to throw out? And she's going,
yeah, that's a very.
It just starts a fun.
That's a very good marketing ploy.
It starts a fun conversation.
Certainly is.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, we just finished your questions.
I have these colorful business cards.
Yes, I see that.
With some of my my work on them.
Yes.
And I usually give them out 3 at a time to people.
Right.
I says 1 for you, 1 to lose, and 1 for a friend.
Right. Right. So I'm going to keep these, and I'm going to scan them and probably put them in the video for the podcast.
It's the color, Carson, that makes a difference.
Sure.
And I said on my website, I say, friendly warning that color is contagious. And 65% of my clients have between 3 and 6 murals.
Right.
Once they realize the benefit of no water, no weeds, it's there every day. And I said to them, there's going to be an extra cost for you. They said, well, what's that? I said, for about $8 each, you can go and get some solar spotlights from Home Depot or Lowe's.
Right.
And put those out there so when the sun goes down at 5 o'clock, there's the mural, there's the color on the wall that you can enjoy.
Sure. Sure. Now, do you ever run into issues with homeowners associations about painting on the walls?
Yeah, the client that I'm working with in Broadmoor at the moment is in a new development, and she said, I need to go to the HOA. I said, that's fine. Their concern mostly is what you can see from the street.
Yes.
And so it's a very narrow view up the side of the house.
Sure.
So I sent her my proposal. She liked that. I then sent her similar photographs of the things that I was going to be painting in her backyard, so that she could
So she could
take
present those to
she
the,
could
to the
present those.
HOA. Sure.
They came around and looked at the property and said, "Sweet, away you go." So
Yeah. Well,
sometimes the HOA, I mean, they have rules usually.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm very familiar with their rules.
For good reason.
Oh yeah.
And so if we can get around that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh. So how much business would you say you get from the home shows that you do?
Probably 40% of my work
Okay.
from home shows.
Okay, that's significant.
Yes, it is. And so it doesn't always happen immediately. I get calls from people saying, "Look, I saw you a year and a half ago at such and such a home show, but we've been thinking about it and waiting to see."
Sure.
Which brings up a good point. When I go to people's homes, they might say, "Look, we've got other things going on, and we don't know if we're ready to do this just yet."
Sure.
I said, "I respect that totally." I said, "Here's what I do. I come out, listen to you both about what you would like to see. I put a proposal. It has no obligation and no time commitment, but you can marry that in with the other things that you want to do in your landscape and prioritize that accordingly."
Right.
So no pressure, but at least you know then we can pigeonhole that there.
Sure.
And make a difference.
Sure.
So.
Wow. Very, very nice. Very nice.
Fun.
So do you have show homes that people can go and take a look at?
No, but all of my clients say if somebody wants to come round,
Right.
the place that I'm painting at the moment, there were new people moving into the homes, and every day I've been out there. Say, "G'day, mate, how you doing?" "What are you doing?" I said, "Here's what I do." "Oh, right, well, they're great people. The house you're painting for." I said, "Well, here's a card. If you, whatever, you think about it, just
sure.
see as an example."
Very good.
And there's enough work on my website to see a good variety there.
Yes, you have a very good website, and we'll definitely be putting the URL for that.
Thank you.
On the video.
Appreciate it.
So, well, Don, it's
thanks for your time.
Very nice to talk to you. I wish you the best of luck with your service, and we'll certainly do everything that we can to spread the word and let people know that you're out there and what you're doing.
Thank you. When I lost my dad when I was 13 years of age. He died from his heart attack, from his third heart attack, and he had polio. And but I learned something from him. Years later, we were doing a marriage course, and I thought, what did I learn from Mum and Dad? You know, mothers tell you things and fathers show you things. What I learned from Dad was work hard, do it right, and keep a sense of humor.
Very good. Very good.
And the latter, with what's going on around us in the world today,
yeah,
a sense of humor and a laugh here is a good thing.
Right.
So,
right.
That's great.
Very good advice.
Thanks, Carson.
Okay.
Appreciate your time.
Well,
and you, Olivia.
Thank you.
G'day, it's me again. I want to get a couple of things right, so to save you any embarrassment if you make the wrong suggestion when we meet. You'll never upset me, but let's get it right. I am from New Zealand, Lord of the Rings country. Not that other big beautiful place down under that starts with A. New Zealanders are called Kiwis, a term of endearment after our beautiful, nocturnal, flightless, highly protected national bird. Not that brown fuzzy fruit we call kiwi fruit. You can see the resemblance. Let's get together and talk about your walls and how I can add colour and character, and let's have some fun doing that. Thanks.